Hey, friends. Welcome to the live. Hey, my name is Sam. I'm a certified coach, wellness coach, and alignment coach. So I'm super excited you guys are here. Hope you're having an amazing start to your Tuesday. But today, I want to be talking about the foundation that we can build from. I want you to hear that today. The foundation of alignment. And when it comes to the foundation, I want you to think about that. What is, what is something we could build off of? And I had to really think about what is that really the foundation of everything? What is going to not only propel us into our future, but help us overcome our past? And I believe that starts off with alignment. And when it comes to alignment, I'm thinking about, man, when it comes to alignment, is my passions? Is it my purpose? Is it my values? And when I think about that, what are you building from? What are you building from? And that's the question I want you to hear. What are we building from? What are we building from? And that's the real question. What are we building from? What are you building from? When it comes to your goals and dreams, what are you building from? I think it's a powerful question to really ask ourselves as we enter in today's little talk here. Because maybe you've been building from doubt. Maybe you've been building from fear. Maybe you've been building from uncertainty. Maybe you haven't been building at all. And today I hope we not only impress upon you the importance of your value, your worth, but realizing that maybe you've been building off of a weak foundation. Maybe you've been building from a place where you didn't think you were ready. You didn't think you were ready for better things. But today that changes. That changes because you can change. That changes because you have a choice. That changes because that's up to you. So today we're going to be talking about, yes, the foundation of alignment. And I think this is where it becomes really powerful because when we talk about the foundation, I want you to start thinking about the foundation. What are you building off of? Because today we're going to be talking about loving yourself first, which I believe is a really strong foundation of where we need to start from. Because I believe, one of my favorite books says, and the greatest of these commandments is love. Right? And I think we hear the story as the storybook about love, and I feel like love's being twisted and distorted in so many different ways because we're thinking love is something that we have to receive outside ourselves. But today we're learning to love yourself first. Isn't that powerful? Love yourself first. And maybe you find yourself today not feeling worthy of love. Feel like I haven't really felt love before. Maybe you're thinking love is something I'm looking to find. But today we're talking about loving yourself first. And as we kind of go through this talk, I want you to ask yourself that question. Have you been loving yourself first? And I'm not talking about the bubble bath and self-care kind of love. I'm talking about truly giving yourself grace. See, my favorite book says, love is patient, love is kind. Love keeps no record of wrongdoing. And when it comes to loving yourself, are you simply being kind? Are you simply being patient? Or when it comes to yourself, does that come from fear? Does the self come from doubt? Does the self come from uncertainty? Because today, I want to hear this today. Alignment doesn't start with your career, your relationships, or even your goals. See, alignment starts with the relationship you have with yourself. I want you to hear that today. Because maybe you've been looking for alignment outside of yourself. You've been looking for alignment in your job, like I said, like your career. You've been looking for alignment in your relationships, or maybe even your goals. But today I really want you to hear this. Alignment starts with a relationship that you have with yourself. And as you hear that today, I want you to ask yourself that question. How is your relationship with yourself? Because many times when we hear of self-love, self-care, we think of it as selfish, right? What is the learned myth when it comes to self-love or self-care? Or the myth is that, self-love is an ego project. It's a luxury. It's those extra time. It's with those for people with extra time, right? We think of self-love as being the bubble bath kind of love, but it's more than that. We think of self-love as something that, only people who have the luxury of time to do self-love. But, the absolute truth is you cannot give what you don't have. I need you to hear this today. You cannot give what you don't have. And many of us are looking for love outside of ourselves, but we haven't found it because we haven't found it for ourselves first. But I really love this quote by Marianne Williamson. She says right here, I love this quote. She says, love is what we were born with. Fear is what we learned here. Isn't that powerful? That you were born to love. You were born here already with love. And fear is something we learned here on earth, but you were born from love. And I think that's so powerful. Because maybe you've been looking for love in all the wrong places. Like, that song, looking for love in all the, but maybe you're looking for love in all the wrong places because you're looking for love outside of yourself. But I really love this analogy of Wayne Dyer, and it really connected with me. He says, what you squeeze out under pressure is exactly what's inside. And there's this amazing story that Wayne tells. He says, he goes to a conference and he's, speaking to kids in a class, and he's asked a little girl, if I grab this orange and I squeeze it, what will come out? And he squeezes that orange, and she's like, juice. But he's like, but what? What will come out? She's like, orange juice. And then he asks, why? Why when I squeeze this orange, why does orange juice come out? And she says, nobody's answering the class, and he squeezes this orange. He's like, so why, when I squeeze this orange, does orange juice come out? And the little girl yells her hand and says, it's because that's what's inside. And I want you to ask yourself that question. When someone squeezes you, what comes out? Is it anxiety? Is it fear? Is it doubt? Is it uncertainty? Because what you squeeze out under pressure is exactly what's inside. And I think that's where many of us, we find ourselves under pressure and we find fear. But fear's already been there. See, when the pressure comes, it can only show what's inside. See, I think many times, here, diamonds are built under pressure. But at the end of the day, the diamond was already there. That's just simply what has been inside of that coal the entire time. But I really love this quote right here. It says, I really like this quote. Let me share it with you. I really like this quote. It says, love without knowing how to love wounds the person we love. And that's a quote by Thich Nhat Hanh. He says, love without loving how, love without knowing how to love wounds the person we love. And how many times have we found that? We found that relationship, that maybe that perfect person, and we were wondering why it didn't work out. Maybe they said they love me though. I love them, but maybe they never know how to love. Maybe love was simply to them a transaction. Love was what you do for me. Love is like a simple transaction. Love is a transaction, right? Love is to them, or in some relationship is like, if you do this for me, I'll love you. If you make me feel this way, I'll love you. If you teach me how to do this, I love you. So love becomes a transaction, a conditional thing, but not truly something that we are. Because, like we said right there, when the relation, when you notice when the pressure comes in the relationship, when you get squeezed, what happens? Things fall apart. People change. Relationships fall. But what does pressure do to you? What happens when pressure comes against you? And I love this because, it's such a powerful thing here. I really like this. Really like this. I want to share it with you. Because it's just like this. The voice in our head is not you. It's the observer listening to it, right? So those voices in your head that are telling you that you're not worthy, that you're not enough, it's the inner critic. Is a conditional pattern, right, of thinking. It's fueled by the accumulated emotional suffering of the pain body. And I really love, because Wayne talks about the pain body, right? And perfectionism, people pleasing, and overachieving are simply the armor we wear to protect the core. You see, what is the core? What is the core? The true self worthiness of being. See, and we surround ourselves with armor, which is the pain body, the inner critic. We surround ourselves with I'm not enough. We surround ourselves with anxiety, with fear, with doubt, with uncertainty. That inner critic telling us we're not enough. That's just armor. It's armor that we have chosen to put over our true selves. Not allowing ourselves to shine, but allowing ourselves to manifest as something outside of who we truly are. And we've accepted this armor as strength, but that's not the truth. Because I love this. Armor is the ego. We use armor as the ego and the armor of shame, right? I want you to think about it. What does that armor tell us? The armor says, I'm not enough until I fix something. I'm not enough until I find that acceptance, right? Or maybe, what does that armor do? What does that armor do for us? A little bigger for you guys. Or maybe that armor is validation. Armor is like validation must be earned through performance. Like we have to perform to be worthy for this. Or maybe we're trapped in the past, past regrets of our future anxiety, thinking that we won't amount to what we are truly made here to be. Or the armor of perfection, right? The armor and self-abandonment. Letting go of who we truly are. But this is why alignment and worthiness of being is so important, because alignment says, I am exactly who I am. I need you to hear that again. I am whole as who I am. I think that's a powerful thing. I am whole exactly as I am. That you are not here imperfectly, but you are here perfectly as yourself. And that your value is inherent in your existence. I think many of us, I know for a long time myself, I thought my value was outside of me. But I want you to know that your value is already inside of you. The fact that you're here is you are valuable to the world and to the right people around you. But resisting entirely in the present moment, right? And vulnerability and authenticity, right? Alignment tells us that we need to be vulnerable. We need to be authentic. Like the greatest gift you will ever be is you. I need you to hear that today. The greatest gift you will ever be is you in this world. Hey, Rebecca. So I want you to think about that. How can we show up as our best selves? And just as that as well, you are not what happened to you. I need you to hear this today. You are not what happened to you. You are what you chose to become. I need you to hear that. You are not what happened to you. You are not your mistakes. You are not your failures. but you are what you choose to become. And I think many of us have let our past or our future endeavors become our burial grounds. We let our past dictate our future. But I need you to hear this today. You are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to become. And I hope that excites you and empowers you at the same time, because when you realize that you are who you choose to become, that means if you aren't exactly where you are, you can change it. Isn't that awesome? That you can change exactly where you are by making that decision for yourself. But I really love this quote right here I want to share with you guys. Great quote right here. It says, "Your mess is your message. Healing is not erasing your history, it is declaring your identity before abandoning the outcome." And how many of us abandoned our goals before the outcome, not thinking they were possible, but mainly because we're holding on to the fear and the doubts and the uncertainties. But most importantly, we've been holding on to old choices that have given us the same results. See, if you want things to change, one of my favorite mentors says, you have to change. And when I ask yourself that question, how long would you like to go in the wrong direction and expect to get to where you want to be? I think that's a hard truth that I had to swallow myself. Like, man, if I keep making the same choice, I'm going to keep getting the same result. And I think one of the, Albert Einstein says the definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting a different result. And with that, it's time to step into your power and choose to become different. Now, with that being said, self-confidence is just self-trust. And I want you to hear that today, because maybe you thought confidence was outside of you. Confidence was something you had to earn. Confidence was even something you had to learn. But self-confidence, is just simply trusting yourself. Isn't that powerful? It's time for you to trust in you again. Time for you to trust in your abilities, trust in your strength, but most importantly, trust that you are worthy. Because right here, what is trust built on? Trust is just rebuilt marble by marble. And I want you to think about that. It's really taking the next right step, the next right action, doing the next best thing towards your goal. And it's not forged in one grand gesture, but it's in micro moments where you choose not to abandon yourself. See, I think many times we find ourselves thinking we have to do one massive thing and it's going to change our lives. But I want you to hear this today. It's really just about taking that next right step. Because self-worth cannot be verified by others. You are worthy because you say so. Ooh, I need you to hear that today. You are worthy because you say so. Not because your actions, not because your decisions, not because of some accolades, not because of some award, because you are worthy because you say so. And maybe you found yourself looking for your worth outside of yourself, hoping someone would tell you you're ready. But I need you to hear this today. Your worth starts with you. Because like I said, you cannot give what you don't have. But I want you also to think about this, right? Healing is not a destination. It's a decision you make mechanically every single day. And just like we were talking about that marble, right? If we're looking to move that marble forward, it's a choice we got to make every single day by the actions we take, by the decisions we make, by the choices we make. But I really like this framework right here. It says this. It says, if we really want things to change, we need to run into ourselves with radical self-compassion first. And it all starts with a choice. The choice is speaking to yourself like someone you love. How many times have you put yourself down in shame and fear and doubt and uncertainty? But it's time to speak to yourself like someone you love. And as we speak to ourselves by making that choice, we need to make that promise. And that promise is simply that keeping those micro commitments to your own well-being. What are those little things that you can do? Maybe it's a walk. Maybe it's drinking more water. What are those micro commitments? Hey, you don't move a mountain by moving the big stone. You move a mountain one pebble at a time. And I need you to think about that's how we build that self-confidence and that trust in ourselves, is by simply taking the next micro right action. But most importantly, it's about the pause. Returning to the present and having that bell of mindfulness. So I think we live in a world that tells us to go so fast, but it never tells us to slow down. And I want you to hear that today. It's time to slow down and step forward into who you were meant to be by making that next right choice, right? By promising to yourself to take those commitments, but also knowing that the only moment you'll ever be is this moment right here. So ring that bell of mindfulness, knowing that this moment is the only moment there will ever be. So value it just that way, but realizing as well that healing is not a destination. It's a decision you make mechanically every single day by the choices you make, by the promises you make, and by the actions you take. But right here, it's having that holy relationship with yourself, right? And what is that holy relationship? It's simply that self-forgiveness and the absolute reset button. I need you to hear that today. When you give yourself that self-forgiveness, is the absolute reset button. Maybe you found yourself stuck lately, found yourself afraid, found yourself wondering, how am I going to move forward? It all starts with forgiveness. And that's the absolute reset button. But you cannot love yourself while holding yourself in contempt for your past. I need you to hear that today. Because maybe you're sitting here today with your past mistakes, your past failures, your past doubts, and finding yourself afraid. Afraid to try again. Afraid you'll mess up again, but letting your past dictate your future and calling it truth. But see, I'm not saying you don't need to own your story, but own your story and loving ourselves through the process is the bravest thing you'll ever do. I need you to hear that today. When you own your story, your past failures, your past doubts, your past fears, and love yourself through the process is the bravest thing you'll ever do. Because it's time, friends. It's time to stop waiting. Because maybe you've been waiting for permission to choose you. But I need you to hear this today. No one is coming to give you the worth you already possess. You must declare it first. I need you to hear that today. That no one is coming to give you the worth you already possess. You have to declare it. That's a choice you have to make. But I want to share this quote with you right here. It's super powerful. It says, you know what? It's time to step out of the armor. It's time to step out of the armor. Dang it. You designed and build a new template. It's time to step out of the armor and into the environment designed to build a new template. Isn't that powerful? And how would we do that? It's by making that choice. Now, that's a choice you get to make. It's to step out and step into your new template. So I want to invite you guys here today. I have something in the link in my bio is a alignment assessment. And I want to take it complimentary alignment assessment. You'll identify specific armor and default coping mechanisms. You'll map out the exact script for your inner critic, and you'll establish a starting point lane for your self-trust journey, right? I think it's all about setting that alignment and stepping towards where we want to be. So if you click that link in my bio, you can take my free alignment assessment, and it'll give you 3 key strategies I want to move forward, because I think many times we're so afraid. I know me personally is when I look at an assessment, I'm like, man, last thing I want to do is have somebody tell me what I'm not good at. But I like this assessment as well because it tells you your strengths. But most importantly, you'll see why you keep leaning this direction, because you're so strong there. And when we're strong there, that's our comfort zones. And we continually focus on our comfort zones, but there's always those areas in the background we aren't focusing on. And just as a wheel is a circle, all those arrows and things get out of alignment, our wheel, misses a few spokes. It starts, ka-dunkin, ka-dunkin, ka-dunkin. And when we're looking to have that smooth, not saying our life's not going to have detours and turns along the way, but what if that wheel was smooth? What if that wheel was rolling without that feel of a speed bump? Or we don't have that flat side on our tire because we're a little bit more aligned in every area of our lives. But also here, I want to invite you guys to join my free alignment community. It's in the link in my bio. After you take that assessment, I'll send you a link to join my free alignment community. It's just a space where I give alignment, just coaching tips throughout the day. You'll have a nice supportive community to support you along your alignment journey. And most importantly, just an opportunity to connect with like-minded people that are like, you know what? I'm no longer going to stop looking outside of myself. And it's time to start looking within and aligning ourselves towards our values, our dreams, our purpose. So if you're looking for a community of people that are doing the exact same thing, I would love to invite you to join that community. So all you gotta do is take that alignment assessment and it'll give you that link to join that community. It's a free community. And last but not least, if you're like, Sam, I loved everything I heard here today, but I really don't want to be in the group setting. I want to take this one-on-one. I want an opportunity to work with you one-on-one. You can apply for my alignment method, and it's a systematically, installed, all programming. We're going to work one-on-one. We're going to really dive deep into your alignment journey here. So I'm going to give you that little scope right here. So, it's an opportunity to systematically uninstall the old programming of the pain body. We'll build unshakable corresponding self-trust and marble by marble. And what is that? Action by action, step by step, day by day, chipping away and building back in that self-trust with ourselves. And then at the end of the day, you're going to master your daily decisions required to sustain total life alignment. See, when our choices and our values and our purpose are in line, I believe that's when we become unstoppable. But most importantly, that's the choice you get to make each and every day. Like we said, marble by marble, step by step, day by day, you have the power to change your life. But most importantly, I want you to understand this today, that the power to change your life isn't outside of you, it's within you. And I hope that excites you, because you're worthy, you're enough, and it's time for you to step into who you were meant to be. Take care.